I'm back in France. Driving in France. This video is about driving in France in a right-hand side drive car, so a UK-based car on the wrong side of the road, or the right side of the road, depending on your perspective. So UK car abroad. Again, it's something I've done for years and have never had any major issues with myself. There have been times, occasionally, where you forget which side of the road you're supposed to be driving on, and it can happen to anybody. Normally, when you're driving in whichever country you're driving in, you'd be in the middle of the road. Whereas if you're driving a right-hand drive car, you're now driving close to the verge or the curb, depending on where you are. One of the major differences that I've noticed recently is there's a lot more stop signs than there ever used to be. Stop seems to be everywhere. So if you're UK, you're used to give ways everywhere and the occasional stop sign. Whereas in France, it seems to be stops kind of almost everywhere, which is something, I don't know whether it's always been like that or whether I've just started to notice that recently. I'm not sure, but they're everywhere. Driving a right-hand drive car abroad poses a few problems, especially when you come to junctions where you can't see properly. You have to lean forwards to get a better view. It makes things tricky. The road signs in themselves are all pretty generic. They're all very similar. So if you're used to UK-based road signs, they won't be that different to what you would see here in France. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. There is this sort of X sign that I've seen quite a lot. Now, I did see it the other day coming up to a junction which was really badly road marked, and I think it warns you of there's a dangerous junction or there's some sort of junction. I'm going to look it up. Or I'll actually flash an image up of this sign here and the description of it, so that if you come across it, do be careful. But it is what it is. It's for driving in France. Driving down to France, you have to have a Euro kit. Now, the Euro kit consists of a whole bunch of stuff that you need when you're driving on the motorways. I'll put a link in the description below. Some reputable suppliers like the AA and the RAC where you can get these packs. Everything's in there. The only thing that you might have to get or purchase extra of would be the yellow jackets, because every passenger in the car has to have a yellow jacket. The yellow jackets should be stored in the cabin. If you've watched my first video, I say that it needs to be in the car. No, they need to be in the cabin so that if you do break down on the motorway, before you get out of the car, you put your yellow jacket on. If the police don't see the yellow jackets accessible from the cabin, you could be in trouble. So, where I am, there's a town not too far away, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually taking a trip to the shops to pick up some items that we need for lunch. It's a lot of country lanes. So we're going to get this show on the road. See you in a second. And we're off. And the first thing I've got to remember to do is to drive on the right-hand side of the road. There's my neighbours. I come straight up to here, and what do I see? A stop sign. So what do I say about stop signs? They're everywhere. So I'm turning right here. Now, I can't see from back there, so I'm going to come to a stop here. Enter the town, the village. And again, if you look at the road signs, very similar to what you'd see in the UK. Now, it does say that I should give way to oncoming vehicles. So I'm going to stop here, even though there's no stop sign or give way line to indicate that I needed to do that. I'm going to wait for this Dutch car to come through. And then I got this other white car. Now, it's telling me the speed limit here is 30 kilometers an hour. Checking my mirrors before I move off is what you should really be doing. And then I'm just driving off into town. I keep saying town, we're in a village, tiny little village. This guy should now wait for me. And again, see the pedestrian crossing signs are very similar. I'm not quite sure what this sign means. 30 with, looks like a national speed limit sign with 30. I don't know what that means. Maybe that's the end of the 30 zone. And now we're open to the, what would be, I think, 80 kilometers an hour, which is what the speed limit would be here. And now I'm out of the village. And this is really typical in France, these trees that overhang the road. Now again, I'm just going to check my mirrors and move slightly to the right, and I'm using this verge here as a way to gauge the distance if I want to give a bit more room on the left-hand side. I'll explain a little bit more about that in a second. So I've got a sign here warning me of a junction, telling me I'm on the major road. It's a little bit confusing because it looks like a crossroads sign, but it's not. And then a sign here telling me there's a bend round to the left. Now, if I look through the trees there, I could see a vehicle coming. So I'm just going to reduce speed and move slightly to the right to give a little bit more room. And this van is right in the middle of the road. So again, I'm going to hug this line on the right-hand side. That gives me more than enough room on the left-hand side. When you're driving in the UK, you're taught to drive approximately 1 meter or so from the verge or from the parked cars. And that's kind of what I'm doing now. But so I've got that overdraft of space. So I check my mirrors. I can now move into some of that space and give these vehicles a little bit more room. And it just makes passing vehicles on roads like this, where there's no center line, no center partition, a little bit more comfortable. I'm gonna turn left here, because I'm gonna go over. I'm looking up the road. There's a vehicle coming, but I reckon I can get across that. And I turn, and then it's Traverse Scolaire. That looks like a school sign to me, and it kind of is a school sign. So again, this sign here, in my first video, I kept saying they're crossroads signs. They're not. They just indicate you're on the major road, and it's a junction of some kind. Now, there is a crossroads here. I'm gonna turn right, so mirror, mirror, and signal. Not much going on behind me, to be honest. And very little on the road marking side of things here. So again, it's really, really important to pay attention to signs, because you can see if I was coming down this road here, there's another stop sign, but there's no stop line to correlate. Now, I don't know whether that's across France or whether they've just been a bit lazy down here in the south of France. But I would always say, if you're coming up to a junction, just be careful, because it's a junction. What the hell is this?
Well, you don't see that every day.
See some weird stuff in France, I'll tell you that much. So again, I'm seeing this sign again, and what is it warning me of? It's warning me there are junctions up here. Could be a crossroads, could just be a junction, but I am on the major road, and I'm entering a smaller village called Saint-Cyprès, and it's telling me the speed limit is now 30. Got all these pedestrian crossings, and again, you can see they've got stop signs, they've got a stop line. So obviously, I think they do normally put stop lines. Got to be quite careful as I come around the corners here, because it's quite tight. You can see a car coming the other way, but that would have been quite tricky if we'd met at the same spot. And again, I've got the sign to indicate that I have got priority over oncoming vehicles, so I can proceed. It's tight. If a vehicle was coming here now, I'd want to hug this right-hand side, and I can see by the curb here, through my sort of passenger window, how to judge that. You know, it's your line of sight. If you're thinking about trying to create more room, at least it's on your side that you're able to create that space. And again, I come around this corner, and it says I've got priority here, so if there's a vehicle there, they should wait for me. They are waiting for me. And I'm coming up to a roundabout, a small one, but it is a roundabout. Now, roundabouts in France, obviously, are going to be slightly different. I'm giving way to the left, not to the right. I'm going to do a right turn here, so mirror, mirror signal to the right. Looking to my left. That looks pretty clear to me. So I'm going to crack on. And I'm now right on top of the hill up here. Not sure what this sign is telling me. No right turn. So again, very similar to the sort of signs you'd see in the UK. And a sign for a roundabout. I'm taking I think it's the third exit, ahead third exit. So I'm not going to signal. No one on my left. Big arrow telling me where I need to go. There's one exit, there's two exits, and now I can signal right. Now I'm signaling right, I guess, for the vehicle behind, because there was nobody oncoming. I'm not sure how beneficial that signal would have been for the vehicle behind, because I'm in front of him, he can't really overtake me. Now I'm leaving Saint-Cyprès, and again, I can pick up my speed. Now this sign here is telling me there's a zigzag or some sort of chicane. So obviously that's warning you to reduce your speed a little bit. Yeah, I don't want to get too close to the vehicle in front. Also aware of where that vehicle is behind. Getting closer, come around the corner, and just coming over the top. This is the kind of stuff that you just get to see. It's just beautiful. Countryside, stunning. If you've never driven abroad, and you've only sort of done like hotel holidays, and you've never gone out and explored a little bit, you're missing so much. There's so much to see. So that's telling me there's a stop. So there's a warning triangle, which is different to the UK. So a warning triangle, which you'd normally think is give way, but there's going to be a stop. So I'm going to come to a stop here. Not that a lot of people would do that here. So I stop, it's clear, I drive on. But you can have that just in random places. I'm going to turn right down here because I want to sort of just take a sneaky little shortcut. There's cemetery on the right hand side. Come around here, no entry sign, really obvious. That's very similar to the UK. Signposted to Uzès around here. I guess I could signal there's no one behind me. Come around the corner, nice and easy. A little mirror there, not sure what that mirror is showing me. Oh, it's probably for them. Speed bump. Universal sign for a speed bump. And again, this crossroads sign, it's not a crossroads, it's just warning me again that I'm on the major road, so if there's a junction on the left or the right that I have priority, which I think actually in France is even more important because they have this rule of priority to the right, which is just really random. Now, I've only seen one of these since I've been down here this year. It still exists. You're clearly driving on the major road and all of a sudden you've got to stop and you've got to give way to the right. It's really weird. I think even the French themselves are starting to realise it doesn't make sense. That's telling me that there's going to be a stop. So again, another stop. Big arrow here telling me where I need to go. So I'm going to move across into the right hand side. And again, stop signs, same shape as the UK. So this is a slip road. I'm going to use this to build up my speed. Check my mirrors. It's on my left hand side, which makes things a little bit harder. But a bit like changing lanes. It's not too hard, is it? And now I would say I'm on an 80 kilometers an hour speed limit zone. I don't know. I've got to be honest. There's no sign to indicate that I am or I'm not. It was all 70s up there, 70s, 80s. Can't go too far wrong with that. I'm now doing about 80 kilometers an hour, maybe a little bit more. Don't tell anyone. Dropping my speed back down because I'm a driving instructor. I do things properly, of course, all the time. Now at the roundabout, I'm going to follow the road ahead. So again, I've got all these arrows indicating what side of the road I need to be on. That's kind of useful. I'm moving into Uzès, which is really, really pretty. So again, I'm coming up to the roundabout. I'm looking to the left. If I'm unsure even just a little bit, I'm not going to go. I'm going to just make sure they're not indicating. I've got that. See, this guy not indicating at all. So it's quite good. Now I think I can get across in front of that red car. So I will. I'm going to signal to the right. I'm going to do things properly. That guy didn't do it properly. I guess we all don't do things properly sometimes. And now I'm heading into this place called Uzès, and I'm doing it from, I could lie to you and say the south side. I've no idea. I don't do north, south, east and west. I mean I do, but I don't do it very well. But anyway, I'm coming into Uzès from the other side, from where our village is, and I tend to do this quite often coming this way because there's less traffic sometimes coming in to the town. And is that an auto école? It is. There's a driving school in France. Should really do a video with one of these guys, shouldn't I? So at the roundabout, I'm going to take the second exit. So I'm not going to signal because I'm not going in there. Giving way to the left. I've got a blocker. I've got a second blocker. I'm now going to signal to the right to tell these guys that I'm exiting because I want to be nice. And where I'm headed to is kind of the center of town. There's a beautiful hotel. There's a chateau just here. Chateau means castle. Actually, that's not a chateau. What am I talking about? It's part of the building framework, but it's just this beautiful medieval town. Just look at these buildings. You know you're in the south of France when the buildings look like this. If you're somewhere in the middle of the country, they look a little bit like you're watching some sort of period drama about Napoleon or something like that. It's just stunning, but it's very particular. I mean, actually the architecture all across France is just gorgeous. This in itself just feels like a real medieval vibe. You feel like you've gone back 500 years. not quite sure how old Uzès is in itself. I should really look that up. I'm gonna go left here. This is gonna take me through the center of town. Grocers here on the left, fruit and veg. Again, lots of pedestrian crossings, sometimes not even marked with signs. Just be careful if you're driving through a town. And you just see these beautiful little restaurants and shops, like the boutiques. You need a pharmacy there on the right hand side. When it's lit up like that, that normally indicates that it's open. These trees are everywhere. You saw the trees on the way up here. It's very, very French. Do be careful of parking restrictions. You can park here for a very short period of time on the left hand side in Uzès, but they will get you, I think it's only about 45 minutes, and then after that 45 minutes it is ridiculously expensive. And now I've got to turn right here. And come around. Now this guy, assuming he has to give way to me, he does. Give way to the right. Now I'm going to be entering a car park, and this is the fun bit. So I'm going to do a right turn into the town, into the car park. And here lieth the problem of when you drive a right-hand drive car in France. Everything is on the left-hand side. Now this guy has decided to go that way. He's from Belgium. I'm going to go this way. So I've got to pull up as close to this box as I possibly can. It's probably out of camera shot. I'm just going to park my car here, switch my engine off for a second and show you. It's there, and I've got to lean across, so I'm going to do it. Open my window. Press the ticket. Oh God. I got the ticket. Now, imagine you're driving through France by yourself, which I've done actually a few times, without that Immovis tag thing that I was telling you about at every single péage. What the Immovis tag does is when you're coming to tolls on the motorway, but if you're driving alone, you don't have to lean across and get the ticket, which is really, really tricky. So it just sort of beeps and then the barrier opens and you drive through. You get a bill at the end of the month. You've got to lean across just like that in order to get a ticket. I've made it. I'm in Uzès. That's driving in France. If I can do it, you can do it. Do it. You will absolutely love it. Any of the stuff that I've talked about, I'll put in the description below. Anything I get wrong, please hit me in the comments. I'm a driving instructor in the UK, not a driving instructor in France, so it is possible that I'll get some of this wrong. And I love hearing from you guys. Do bear in mind I do driving school content normally, so if you're interested in driving school content, obviously hit that subscribe button. And if not, and you just find this video useful, share it to people. I hope it's been valuable to you. If it has, hit the like button, subscribe if you'd like more content, and I will see you in the next one. Get well out. En France, get well out. Get wheel out. Get wheel out. Get wheel out. Cue the French music thing coming in now. France, do it. Drive.